What is up, guys? It is the sports nerd Bradley Walker, and welcome to the Walker Report, part of NGSC Sports. Guys, remember the website, it's ngscsports.com for all your current sports content. That is where your boys' writing is. I had two articles this week, one on USF softball, the other on spring ball for the USF Bulls about quarterback Byron Brown. Head on over there and take a look at those. I would appreciate it. We are also part of the Game Winner Sports Network, Snowball Multimedia Sports. We are part of Mancini Media and the Sports Alliance of America Incorporated. Happy Thursday to you guys out there as we are the midway through the month of March. Guys, Sunday is St. Patrick's Day. Everyone that celebrates, get a DD. Don't go nuts. Don't go crazy, and end up causing someone to lose their life or hurt yourself or hurt someone else. So drive smart. There are driver services, Lyft, Uber. Use those if you need to, or if you need a DD, you're looking at one right here. I don't do a lot of drinking. Actually, I'll be at the USF baseball game on Sunday afternoon, and I'll be going tomorrow, not Saturday, to the USF baseball as well. It'll be a baseball weekend this weekend for me in USF in Tampa. As they say, the slogan is hashtag carry the boat. I'm not sure. I have to ask what carry the boat means, but it is what it is. We have two sponsors, guys, on the show. We have creatingzenspaces.com. It is the local choice in St. Petersburg, Florida for house cleaning, organization, decluttering, and pet sitting. It's about finding the peace within you and adding comfort to your life. And guys, remember, Zen Spaces begins with you. Be kind to yourself and one another. We are also sponsored by fun-wags.com. You guys have heard it before. It is awesome dog, cat, and rodent treats that are made with 3 ingredients you can pronounce, because the Fun Wags mascots want you to enjoy them. And because our fur babies deserve the best, head over to fun-wags.com. My friend Sophie, whose birthday is coming up, would very much love you for that. Let me welcome in my 3 great co-hosts this evening. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
So
good evening.
Before I got on, Gerald knows about this. I accidentally backed into a lady and had a little fender bender earlier this evening.
Oh.
How dare you?
No damage to my car. More damage to her car than mine.
At least it wasn't Zach Wilson.
He's backed into a few older ladies, hasn't he?
But
Adam got that joke.
Let me ask you guys, because you were on Gerald Show. Does the call-in number work? Is it something
No.
When I
I heard
called
it,
it did work.
Okay, I heard a no. Why a no?
It's still not working. I mean, I even asked if the phone was working because I tried to get some people on, but it still wasn't going through. We couldn't get through.
Let me look into that, because I might be doing something wrong.
Okay.
Because
I
I'm
used to
curious.
because
I know I've had people in comment to me that there should be a call-in number. So I don't. The last time I used a call-in number, you guys all remember that show. It didn't go very well.
That was a great show.
Oh yeah, absolutely was.
Never had a.
Adam got
Had
that
it
joke
all.
when I said, thank God it wasn't Zach Wilson.
Had it all lined up. All lined
Yeah.
up with a slew of guests, and nobody could hear me, or I couldn't hear you. I don't remember what it was. It was
Both.
something along those lines. So I'm very cautious about calling numbers. Not that I'm against those, but all the shows that I've been on, including the one that I was on Tuesday, they use social media chat rooms to kind of bring their audience in. Gerald was one of the people that commented on that Tuesday show.
And I'm still at the Jeremy.
Well, you know what, Gerald? Let me say something about that. I should have said something when you mentioned Daniel Jones, and he brought up Trevor Lawrence is just as bad. I would have said, yeah, but Trevor Lawrence doesn't make $40 million.
No.
Trevor Lawrence is just as bad as Daniel Jones.
he doesn't make 40 million. And I understand that he is the starting quarterback in Jacksonville. I'm very aware of that. But you guys can go back and look at that show. I shared the show on our group page. Let me know, guys, what your opinion is about me on that show. Am I out of my league? I mean, am I not good enough to be on that show? Because that's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. I feel that, not that I'm saying that I don't know my shit. It's just the fact that when you're on a show with people that have established being on a show for years and you're the newbie, it's kind of hard. And that's how I feel. I mean,
Been there, done that.
I get that.
I could be totally overthinking things, and
Probably.
I do that a lot. So, but I mean, if you guys get a chance, take a look. Gerald was on. He was commenting on social media.
Where would I find it?
Go to the Walker Report page, Lou.
Okay.
It's on there.
The Facebook page.
Facebook page,
Okay.
yeah.
The way that Jeremy came at me, that was very disrespectful.
Well,
let me.
Go ahead.
I just want to know what was the question.
We were talking about quarterbacks, and I made the comment that Daniel Jones is a bust.
Yep.
Daniel Jones is a bust.
No,
He said that Daniel Jones was a bust. Right.
And then this excuse my French, this dickhead comes at me and says Trevor Lawrence ain't that good neither.
He said that Trevor Lawrence has the same stats as Daniel Jones. And I thought to myself, I just said, well, he doesn't get paid $40 million either.
Right.
So he was basically saying that Daniel Jones is better than Trevor Lawrence.
Or is at least as good as Trevor Lawrence. I don't think Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is a bust. I think bust is strong.
He's not that good.
At least
But-
Lawrence don't fall down when running down the field.
But I think Daniel Jones falls into that category of who's better. So,
Lawrence is better.
Yeah,
but you're not getting Trevor Lawrence. Thank you.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Who's better? Who's better than Daniel Jones that is available at Daniel Jones's price level? You can't. The Giants don't have the capital to make a move to go get a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. That's what I'm saying. Who's better than Daniel Jones? It's going to be available and is going to be an immediate remedy for what ails the Giants.
Well, that's like I said. You'd have to go back and watch the show to find out what I forget what we were talking about, but
Right on. But
we were talking about all the free agents that were signed and everything like that. And
right.
this is the second time I've been on the show, and I don't mind it. I just feel that in some cases I might be a little out of my league. Because I'm one of those who I think sometimes when I'm talking about certain people or certain teams, I'm more prone to use my heart instead of my head. And I'll say, oh, well, so-and-so is doing this. And then they'll come back and say, well, how do you figure that? Or why do you feel that way? It's like they always have stats to back it up. And I'm like, well, that's cool. But again, I've only been on that show twice. So I got to get feet wet. I got to get my feet wet and see what happens. I had a talk with Kyle, so we'll see. And then
I think a lot of it.
Go ahead. What?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with living, eating, sleeping, and breathing stats. I think too many guys get caught up in numbers.
Right.
And anything beyond your base numbers is just, and the problem is like when you go onto a show like that, and you're going against it, you're going in against guys that have spreadsheets for everything, right? and you're just a guy that likes to watch sports and talk about sports for the fun of it. That's what I've always. That's one of the things that appealed to me about your show in 5-6 years ago, however long ago I first found out about it, was that you were just talking sports. You weren't
Right.
dissecting every single stat from every single player who's ever played the game to make one minor point about how this guy who played in 1973, who played left tackle for the Chicago Bears, is better than this guy who played in 1993, who played left tackle for the New Orleans Saints. Because that's just silly.
Yeah,
It is.
And so it can be
no,
it can be intimidating.
Watch the show to see what I'm talking about. Like I said, I could be totally overthinking everything, but yeah, I agree with you, bud. I think it's hard when you have people who have stat sheets sitting in front of them and like, okay, I don't know how to answer. I mean, and then when you're asking a question about a free agent and say you're the fourth or fifth guy to comment, everything
Yeah.
is basically kind of been said. So there's really nothing to add to it. I know one of the guys that was on the show, he got to him. He's like, I don't have any opinion because he goes, I've heard all the good ones. I mean,
Right.
and that's, I mean, when you're the third or fourth person, I mean, and it's okay. I'm not bitching about what order we should go in. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. I don't care if I go last on every topic on that show. It's the fact that, there's not much to say if you have two guys in front of you that are stat guys that can go through a bunch of stats and stuff. By the time it gets to you, you're like, yep, they pretty much said everything that they need to say. So, but I will say this. I guess Scott said he wants to kind of make me a better podcaster. So I'll see what his intentions are. Again, we have a different show. I don't have a show like his, so we'll see. So
Right.
I think the big thing
is do what's best for you.
That's what Ralph said, Gerald. That's what Ralph
Yeah.
said. That's what Ralph said to me. He said, you do what's best for you. Don't worry about, if it's a no, then it's a no. You don't have to. And I think as we speak, that network has a show on right now that they're doing. So I don't really honestly believe that any of them are listening to my show anyway. And I don't have anything negative to say. I'm not saying negative anything.
I don't.
I don't know if I fit or not. I asked him after every show, hey, how did it go? Oh no, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. Take a deep breath. Well,
Yeah.
That's great. I can take a deep breath, but you need to tell me if I'm doing the right thing. Am I getting my stats across? Am I getting my facts right? Because I don't want to go on and then I have the wrong facts or whatever. Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an internet meme. Oh, look, this guy calls himself the sports nerd, but doesn't know anything about sports. So yeah, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. So, but anyway.
Well,
Okay.
you know what they say. Even if you're wrong, be confident.
Yes.
There you go.
Not true.
Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Colin Coward, they've all made careers of being confidently wrong.
Exactly.
Right.
Especially.
Well,
And-
Colin Kaepernick even has a part of his show where it says where Colin was wrong. He has a part of his show where they go through things that he was wrong about. So he admits it. He admits he was wrong. And he's a major bank, right? He's making some major bank. So
he certainly does. He does all right for himself. I think the best thing you can do, and the thing that helped me out when we first started doing this, was I put my ego aside and I listened to the show again every week. In prep for the next show, I went back and I listened to the previous show. Now, I haven't done that as much recently because I feel like I'm at a point where I'm content with how I'm doing. Maybe I should start doing that again, but I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm not. But again, and I think the other thing is that you got to think about it. This is the second time you've been on their show. So if you were doing something wrong, would they invited you back for a second
No.
run? You know, and if they don't, no, if you had said something that was way off base or way out of line or inappropriate, then they probably wouldn't have brought you back for a second time. One thing that I do want to say is you need to get some lighting, brother. Get some lighting because I can't see your face. You're dark.
I'm in a room and I'm in like a dining room area. I don't have.
Oh, wow.
I get closer. Is that better? If I get closer.
It's better when you get closer. I got these lights. They're freestanding lights. They have a. Let's see if I can show you. I'm gonna unplug one so I can bring it up. They're freestanding lights, and they just take they're a USB. Yeah, it just plugs right into a regular. And I think they were 40. And they just sit.
I lost my photo lights that I had before I moved because I can't.
Right.
The desk that I'm on now is glass, so I can't screw something to glass. It'll
right. What you could do is you could invest in a ring light and get a ring light that just sits on the desk, so that brings your.
I've got one upstairs, bud, that's connected to a microphone. Maybe I should bring it down and plug it in.
I would say do that because it's hard to see your face.
Okay, I'll do that next time.
Yeah, that's because I like sitting outside, and when it gets dark, it's hard to see my face, and it makes it hard for me to see. I like being able to see my face. See, when I'm looking into the camera and I'm talking to you guys, I like to be able to see my own face, and I like to be able to see your face so I can read your facial expressions. So,
right.
Just a little bit of
that way for a while. If I back
up, couple weeks.
If I back up, you can't really.
Yeah, I can't. No, I can't really see your face at all. So when you're up close, it's pretty good. But I think if you have a ring light or a desktop light or some of these, let me see if I can bring it over without knocking everything over. But I just have these freestanding lights, and they're collapsible. So
I could definitely invest in a ring light. We have one upstairs. I just have to bring them.
There you go. Yeah, and if you wanna throw together a quick stream at some point over the weekend, and just to check your lighting, fine with me.
I can do that, but yeah, probably.
If you want to give me,
I can actually do that tomorrow. I have the day off. I'm going.
Okay.
I still get up early. I got to go to the doctor in the morning for my physical, but I could probably do it tomorrow.
Right.
And run the
tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, I don't work until later on tomorrow, so fine, maybe.
What time, bud, do you get off tomorrow night?
I don't get off till 10:30 tomorrow night, so.
I'll be up.
Okay, if you're up and you want, hit me up. Let me know. We can work something out.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah, I wasn't aware that if I was so far away, you couldn't see my facial. Good. Thank you for letting me know that. See, that's the type of thing that I want to know. If I can fix something,
right?
Let me fix it now or improve it somehow, where in the future it won't be an issue. So
right, and that's how I was like looking for. Cause it's been a couple of weeks that ever since you moved to the new place, it's been like that. But I kind of wanted to give a couple weeks, let you get settled in, let you figure out where you were at before I said anything. And it's not anything negative. Obviously, you can do the show. You do the show fine. It's not. It's just for
No, you're good.
From a presentation.
Yeah. I think now that I got the internet extender down here, I have the show going out more.
Yeah.
Previously, I was upstairs in my room, and the reason I don't like to do that is because I'm sitting on a bed, and currently I'm in a chair. I don't know if I can go back to the chair, but I'm sitting, presently sitting up, preferably straight, not 100%, straight, but I like it better down here because I can hear the TV. Obviously, I'm down here where the front door is at. Before I moved, that's the same way it was. I was always in the living room area where I could. Not that I'm afraid someone's going to come in, but crazy people do crazy things. So
right, and it is South Florida, so
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Let's see, guys. I have a bunch of stuff we could go. I know the players Championship is this week in Ponte Verde.
Cool. You know what I just watched last night?
Go ahead.
I just watched the greatest game ever played last night for the first time.
What did you think of that movie?
I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was kind of disappointed in the creative liberties that they took with the movie, but overall, I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I would have preferred them to stick more closely to a historical accurate movie.
Right.
I understand that Hollywood, because in the real match, Frankie, his
Yes.
not his caddy, the player. I thought his name was Frankie. Yeah, Frankie. Frankie's the player. Eddie's the caddy. Frankie actually won the playoff going away. We won by five strokes. And it wasn't even close.
It wasn't as close as the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yeah, I remember
And I know
about that, but after I saw the movie, they're like, Francis we met won by
Francis.
like 5 up. He won the match going away.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't even close. And so that to me was a bit frustrating because, I would have rather them stuck closer to the historical accuracy. I wouldn't have minded, but I understand that Hollywood, because because it's been 100. It was almost that when the movie came out, when they first started shooting the movie, it was almost 100 years since the event had happened. Nobody who was alive to remember, no one was alive to have remembered the event. So they get away with things like that. Because I find that frustrating. It's like I would have rather had them be more historically accurate, where he just dominates the last half of the match and just goes out there and just blows those guys out of the water. The smug Englishman, that would have been great. That would have made.
It's a lot like, but if you look at the Miracle on Ice game, it was one of those things where English golf at that time dominated everything. Like before, but I want to say this was, I think, after Bobby Jones. I don't remember if it was after or before Bobby Jones came in on there. I don't remember. I know still to this day, he's the only amateur ever to win the U.S. Open. There has never been another amateur to win the U.S. Open outside of him, and it's interesting that he won it on his home golf course in Boston. He was from Boston. And correct me if I'm wrong. Did they get his? I know in the movie his dad was against him playing golf at all. At all because of what
I don't
know if that was.
I don't know if that's accurate or not. I didn't see anything that said it wasn't accurate. I can imagine it being accurate. I have no problem believing mid to late teens father from the old country wouldn't want to would see it as frivolous and pointless.
Right.
Especially at that time, when everybody in the family had to contribute so everybody could eat. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And especially after he goes out and he bombs the first round or his first opportunity.
Yep.
And loses the family $50, which would have been like $1,500 in today's money, which, for a poor, struggling, working class family in South Boston at that time would have been a ton of money, which would be, for a struggling working class family today in Boston, $1,500 is a lot of money. I could see that being very, very accurately portrayed. Maybe not to the extent, but I don't have any problem with that historical element of the film. From that regard of his dad being against him playing golf because of the fact that golf makes no money. That only the top, and especially at that time where only the top players made any money, and then he come to find out he's playing as an amateur, so he can't earn, so he won't earn any money even if he wins, because he's still considered an amateur.
Correct.
Yeah, I could totally see a were they Irish immigrants? I can't remember. They were from the old. I think that Irish sounds right.
I think his dad was Irish. He put together railroad. He was a railroad worker. He put together track for railroads, and
track layer.
Back in that time of where the movie was portrayed in that century, that's one of the few ways you could get around traveling. Horseback, bike, cars. I don't know.
Early cars.
There were cars in that movie.
Early cars. Very, very.
Yeah. I mean, the train.
Don, it was at the beginning.
Big part of the.
Yeah, it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what, babe?
It was at the dawn of the train of the car. Cars were still a luxury item that only the richest families had.
Yeah.
And it was like and government agencies like the post office had some limited cars and things like that.
Yeah, it was like you just said, but too, even you could see at the end of the movie where they're trying to hand him money because they know he didn't make any, and he's like, no.
Right.
He's like, take it, give it to my caddy who
Eddie.
was even worse off than he was. Eddie was even worse.
Yeah.
Eddie's family was. I mean, you want to call? You've heard the
Dan broke?
Dirt poor. That they were dirt poor. I mean, no money.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. So
One room shack in the.
The cool part about it is when the movie ends and they go through all the historic things. It's funny how they say that Eddie became a millionaire.
Multi-millionaire. Yeah.
It's interesting how that all turned around for him. And he actually, if you haven't seen the movie either, he begged Francis to be his caddy. Francis didn't even want him because he was this little guy. Everyone made fun of him.
He's a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, they thought he was, look at this dwarf. That's what they called him. And
Yeah.
he was exactly what Francis needed because he was that voice. And that's what a lot of caddies are to their players.
Just that calming voice.
Yeah, if you're having a bad round, your caddy says something to you and you can turn it around, or it's going too well and you
Yeah, bad hole.
Tone it down a little bit. Hey, we got a lot of holes to play. Some players listen to their caddies, and some players do not listen to their caddies.
And at that time,
who it is.
and at that point in the game, the caddy was required. Otherwise, you were hauling everything yourself.
Correct. Yep, that was a requirement, and I want to say, I forget what was the golf course that they played on. It's still out there today. I don't know. I remember what the golf.
Yeah, it's some course. It's a municipal course in just outside of Boston.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like 20 miles northwest of Boston. Because I looked it up last night because I wanted more information. I was enjoying this movie and I was digesting the movie and I wanted more. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about the real story, so I looked it up. Yeah, it's like 20 miles northwest of Boston Center. Pretty course.
Yeah, it's
pretty course.
It's a good movie. It's a feel good movie.
Definitely a feel good movie.
It's not a movie that I would consider. I'm not going to learn the rules of golf watching it because I don't think there's any rules in there. I know there's a lot of showmanship. There's some showmanship between the players, but
a lot of things that surprised me about it. One of the things that surprised me about it, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good, bud. You're good.
But was the crowd. The crowd was a lot wilder than I would have expected for an early 20th century golf game. They were a lot more rowdy, a lot louder than I think of, especially at that time with the stuffy British dudes and the highfalutin. Who's taking shots at Lou now?
Bobby.
Who's pitching?
That's Bobby. That's got to be Bobby. That's got to be Bobby.
Why I gotta? Luke,
He hates the
On
Cowboys.
Luke's
the other
catching,
side,
Even though he's from Texas, he hates the Cowboys. Just to let you.
Luke's catching. Look, we're talking golf, and Lewis still catching strays.
uh-huh.
The poor guy who doesn't even talk that much, and he's getting picked on.
Yeah.
Who's the one that talks to me some months before of us, and he gets.
What is he?
gets-
What is he? A Houston Texans fan? This guy?
He doesn't even like pro football. He doesn't
Okay.
watch pro football.
Okay.
He's more of a college guy. He's a Longhorn guy like Gerald is. Yeah. Yeah.
Who's that, Bobby?
Why doesn't my face pop up when I
Yeah.
pop? Why doesn't my face
But-
pop up when I post? I don't know.
Because you gotta authorize StreamYards to post your information. It's in the link. You just gotta go in there and authenticate, or authorize StreamYards to use your Facebook stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do an off the.
I'll have to, I'll have to go and put together a screen record and show people how to do it. Remind me, and I'll do that when we get off here. But no, just to finish up, it was fun watching them play with them old-timey golf clubs.
Well, wooden shafts. Wooden shafts. They were all wood. The golf balls were not what they are today, obviously. But yeah, that's cool. You can actually hit with clubs like that at the Golf Hall of Fame in St. Augustine, where my home state. St. Augustine's about a 3-4 hour drive from me.
I've used it.
But yes,
I've used it.
A wooden
Wooden shaft, wooden head, 3-wood, old school 3-wood, left-handed. I don't know where my grandpa found this thing, like 50 years ago when he was first getting into the game. But he dug one up, and he kept it. And I was like, "What is this?" He's like, "It's a 3-wood. It's a 3-wood." I was like, "Cool, let me swing it." And he's like, "All right." So I took it out there and I hit it, and I hit it like shit because I hit all of them like shit. But it was really cool. It was a neat experience. Something that if you're a golf fan or if you're a golfer, I don't really recommend playing around, but playing a couple of shots off an old wooden shaft just for shits and giggles, it's fun. It's an experience.
Hey, Bobby, here's one for you.
I had a wooden driver when I first started, but I was on the driving range one day and I hit the ball and the whole head exploded. And I hit it and you could feel it as I came down and made impact. The head just exploded, and it went. I lost the shaft in my hand because you let it go because there's no weight. So I let it go, and I look out in the middle of the driving range, and the head's in 2 pieces. I'm like, "Yep, need to get a new driver because I don't have a driver no more."
You need to try that game, Golf Clash. That's a fun game.
I'll have to download that. I got your message the other day. I'll have to download that and take a look. Yeah, the players championship is this week in Ponte Verde, which is not too far.
You mean
from
the
me
6th
either.
major?
Yes, that would be correct. It is considered one of the outside of the 4 majors. I think, Lou, correct me if I'm wrong. We're 3 weeks away from the Masters. I know it's mid-April.
Like that,
I think is when
the second week of April.
Okay, we go to Augusta.
The first week of April. First week of April.
I thought it was 4, 5, 6 this year.
When is the Masters? Let's see. No, I mean it's usually the first.
7th.
Okay. That's my dream 18 holes.
Oh, that's.
Don't think I'll ever get to play there, but it's my dream 18. So.
Yeah, after Augusta. Go ahead, Lou.
See, a lot of people think there's only 4 majors in golf. Most people think that you have your Masters, you have your PGA Championship, which moves in the spring. I don't know why. You have the U.S. Open, or as I call it, the Father's Day Classic, and you have the British Open. But people seem to neglect this tournament right here, and of course the one that happens think it's in I forget what month it is, but it's the Memorial. That's considered also the other major.
The
So-
Masters is the April 11th through the 14th.
Oh,
So we're
it's
Okay.
later.
So it is
We're about 2 or
Later
3
this
weeks
year.
away, 2 or 3 weeks away, about a month away from the Augusta. I don't know if Tiger will be there or not.
I doubt it.
Curious.
I don't know. Probably not. I'm gonna agree with Lou on that.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been right since 2019.
And I wasn't
He's getting
crazy
old. He's
about
got it.
his son. His
He-
son got a lot of criticism for his tournament. I mean, give the kid a break, okay? I mean, he's got a lot to live up to. He's only 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be 17 this year, if I remember right. Something like that. Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Charlie Woods. You were saying Augusta is your dream 18. Yeah, Augusta's right up there in Andrews
St. Andrews and yeah, that's where golf was made.
in Scotland. Yeah,
Scotland,
that would be-
golf was born.
Yes.
that would be my other.
My 3 bud are Augusta, St. Andrews, and Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach is in California. And then maybe
That's my
4th
kind of course. That's my kind of
would
course.
be Kapalua, which is in Hawaii. So those would be the
Right.
ones that I would play. Pinehurst is up there. But Lou, one of the golf courses that I want to play is in your neck of the woods at Bethpage. That's in New York. And I
Yep.
want to go there.
That's a
and
good
play.
course.
They play, I think
What are you
they're
waiting for?
playing. They're either playing the Ryder Cup or they're playing another Open Championship there in the next 2 or 3 years. I think they're playing
Right.
at Bethpage again. 'Cause they
Yeah.
did well the last time they were there. So it's a state park. So
Yeah.
Okay. You were saying we're talking about dream courses, but I'd give anything to have one more round at Dearborn Municipal Course with my grandpa.
oh,
That would
yeah.
be, that's
no
as much as as much as playing at St. Andrews or playing Augusta or playing on Pebble Beach would be really cool. I'd like to fly. I'd like to go up to Treetops one year and play around with you. That'd be cool.
Dude, I would do anything right now to play 18 more holes with my uncle. The guy
Yeah, I understand.
So would
Give
I.
me,
So would I.
give me anything to play another 18 holes with him. I don't care what golf course. We could play at the local par 3 golf course. Just to let me play 18 more holes with him one last time.
Yeah.
Go back to
Yeah.
heaven, and I'll see you when I get
Yeah.
pro states. But yeah.
What about? Okay, let me ask you. What about mini golf? You ever play mini golf or?
Yeah.
Because I hated mini golf.
I have 2 nephews.
I was
that
pretty
love it.
good.
I have 2 nephews. I have 2 younger. My older nephew will be 12 this year in October.
Right.
My younger nephew will be 8 in May, a couple months from now.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they both like to. So I get the call because I play golf, and my brother-in-law plays golf with me when we go.
Cool.
And I big vacation. But
Yeah.
yeah, I play mini golf. Mini golf. I mean, to me, honestly, with mini golf, here's what my opinion is on that. It's like bowling. I think you're better when you're drinking. I think it's a better
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah.
drink. I don't drink, but I'm just saying. I think it's better when you have some alcohol.
Having a-
to be
Getting a little buzz.
just a little buzz going on. I think it's
Yeah.
much
Little
better
buzz, some
than-
good friends.
Right. Exactly. It's one of those things
Yes.
where, and I mean, Top Golf's another thing where Top Golf.
Oh, I want to do Top Golf. I might do that tomorrow morning.
Do
Brad,
you have one in
need to try-
Nashville or one
you
in
need to
Nashville?
try
One
Disc
close
golf.
by?
Disc golf is fun too.
haven't
I don't
done
like
that
disc
yet,
golf.
bro.
I played disc golf in college. It was an experience. All my friends were into disc golf. All my friends at the time, they were super huge into disc golf. And for me, disc golf is just as bad as regular golf, and so I'd rather play regular golf.
I know, but that was-
Just as frustrating.
Just as frustrating.
Golf is frustrating.
No. Yeah. I like golf. I like playing golf, but and then we talked about this before, and I'm a 9 and done kind of guy. I play either the front 9 or the back 9, and then I hit the clubhouse.
Bobby, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, you have friends. We can maybe help with that. With that.
Why not?
You know,
Isn't it like $30 for an hour?
it depends on what time of the day you go. If you at night, like I think after 5 p.m., I think it's $50 an hour. But here's the thing: if you get 5 or 6 people, if you get 5 people and it's $50 an hour, you do 2 hours, you're paying $20.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, now if you buy food and alcohol, that's a different story. I'm just talking about
Right.
Monkey Hall.
just the golf part of it.
And they
You get a big group, and you can rent bays ahead of time.
and they have clubs and balls and all that for you, so it's not like you have to bring your own bag or anything.
Correct. They have everything is provided. They don't the only thing that they won't give you is a glove. You have to buy a glove. But outside of that, balls are provided.
Yeah.
Gloves for both men and women, and if you need left-handed, they'll give you left-handed clubs as well. So
That's me.
Good.
I've always been. Are you really?
Yes,
oh, you're left-handed? I didn't know that.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
We'll have to share. We'll all get together and we'll go play. We'll go play around up there at that course that Brad wants to play at, and we'll share a set. I won't have to buy my own.
My older nephew's left-handed. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
And you know what makes me sad, dude? You know what makes me really sad? I keep seeing these ads on TV for the freaking Coca-Cola 600. And it makes me sad to watch those damn commercials because I say to myself, gosh darn it, I was there last year and Mother Nature just did not want me to win the race.
Yeah. Yeah. And this year, that's it.
I'm telling you.
At this point, I think
I'm going to watch Minneapolis 500. It's going to rain. It's going to rain. It does it every year.
Well, no, you watch. You watch this year because we can't go because we're just not going to be able the funds to go this year. Not a drop. Both races will be 75 and partly some. All 3 races, partly cloudy.
Down Monaco.
Oh yeah. Yep, Monaco in the morning. It'll be gorgeous. Not a cloud in the sky. 75 and sunny all day long. Because we're not there for any of those races.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Look at Daytona. Had we gone to Daytona this year, it would have rained. They raced on Monday. There was a downpour in Daytona Beach.
Torrential.
Yeah. So there you go.
Torrential downpour.
I think
thought the sun was shining.
when it comes to racing.
Yeah.
I think there's something out there in the universe that's like, yeah, you're not going to a race. No, you're not doing that. Nah.
No. Well, at the end of the day, I know we didn't get to go to the race, but I still had a good time hanging out with you. I enjoyed our.
Well, we did get to see the NASCAR Hall of Fame, so I do
We did get to see the Hall of Fame.
that experience. I had never done that.
Yeah, that was a real.
So that was a cool experience.
I've never. That's the first pro sports Hall of Fame that I've ever been to.
I've been to the Golf Hall of Fame previous to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Obviously, the other ones, Canton, the
Cooperstown, Canton,
Cooperstown, and then of course in Toronto you have the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's Cooperstown, Canton, Toronto.
Yeah.
I'd love to knock those out. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Don't forget Coda.
That's is that next week or the week after? No, it's next week. Because Bristol's this week, and then Coda's next week, and then Richmond's at the end of the month.
So tell me, because since we're talking about NASCAR, is there a leader in the Cup this year? Or has it been is it all over the place? Right?
Yeah.
I forget who's leading right now. And well, we've had 4 races.
Ryan Blaney has the points lead right now.
That sounds right. Ryan Blaney's at the top of the board right now. But right now it's all about getting wins. Points won't matter until we get closer to the end of into the regular season.
I got you.
As we get closer to the playoffs, right now it's all about getting wins. You're locking yourself in and then going and trying to win more. Because once you're locked in, once you get that first win, you've pretty much guaranteed yourself a playoff berth.
Okay.
And we have Bristol this week. Then we go to Coda. Then we go to Richmond, and three totally different racetracks, three totally different sets of circumstances. Whereas Bristol is down and dirty, beating and banging, rubbing his racing, let the rough flag, let the rough side drag. Who gave me a speaking job?
Me.
Then you go to Coda, and the finesse of the road course, going left and right, and then after that you go back to another short track, but a bigger short track at 3/4 of a mile, and you have Richmond has been utterly unwatchable for like the last 8 years in just single file parade, where if you want to pass somebody, you got to root them up out of the groove, and eye gouging for 500 miles or 400 miles. I think it's a 400-mile race. Eye gouging for 400 miles is just frustrating for both fans and drivers. So you got three totally unique tracks, three totally unique driving skill sets that you need to have to be competitive at all three tracks. And with as much as we run road courses now, having that, and Gerald will back me up on this, but having all of those skill sets, the ability to run short tracks. You can like Daniel Suarez, nice guy, decent driver, really only competitive at Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega. Not a guy I feel is a threat for the championship. Outside shot, sure. Gonna need some help. Just don't see him having put all the disciplines together. Now and then Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson and William Byron all have won at all different tracks that we run at, and Christopher Bell, who won last week. It was William Byron, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Larson, and Bell. That's the 4 winners we've had so far. So still early on, a lot of pain to trade that, but been a fun season. Numbers are up, viewership is up, racing is up.
Yeah.
I'm pleasantly surprised. Thought Phoenix was a good race. Really enjoyed Phoenix. But looking forward to Bristol. Gerald say, he likes Logano. I can't disagree. Logano's really good at Bristol. Really solid on the concrete tracks. Too early to tell. We haven't run any practice or qualifying, so I don't know who's going to have what. But ones to watch. Larson, Elliott, Truex, Busher. If he's at 1,000 to 1 odds right now, put a $5, take a flyer on Busher. Good money, good value. Other than that, I think if you qualify outside the top 15, it's going to make for a long day. Like I said, beating and banging, gouging, elbows up for 500 miles, 250 laps, should be fun. Back on concrete for the first time since 2019 or 21. Yeah, 21. So the spring race, I don't know what the weather's going to be like. Probably nasty. Probably going to have to push it back till Tuesday. Got bad weather coming in, heavy where they're predicting torrential downpours over the weekend here, all the way up. I'm 3.5 hours from Bristol, so all the way up to Bristol. The whole state of Tennessee is expected to get pounded all weekend. So awful weather. Going to be a tight squeeze to get the races in this weekend. So probably no racing until probably not going to be able to get it until Tuesday. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Right in the damn bunker. Instead of painting it.
Well, I mean, that's the factor that, well, unfortunately, that none of us can predict is Mother Nature. Like you look at the weather. Like when we were going to Charlotte last year, and I'm like, oh wow, there's they're calling for rain before I get there. I'm like, perfect, it'll rain out, and then every day I checked, it got closer and closer and closer, and I'm like, uh-oh.
And it got worse and worse and worse.
And as soon as I landed in North Carolina, it rained until my plane cleared Carolina airspace to come back to Florida, and then it stopped raining.
Of course.
And
Adam took me to the airport on what was it, Monday
morning.
Monday morning I came back.
Monday morning.
It was pouring down rain that morning we left, and I get in the plane. I'm like, hey man, just with him because he was driving. I'm like, man, be careful going back home because you gotta drive home in the rain. And I'm like, as soon as I got up in the air, I think he texted me. He's like, yeah. He goes, I'm halfway home and there's no more rain. I'm like, yeah. I'm up there. I'm up in the air and I see blue sky. I see blue sky for miles.
And trees of green.
Yeah.
Red roses too.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that.
Yeah.
The thing that killed me is that about the time I got to where it stopped raining, it quit raining in Charlotte.
Yeah. Yep, and it rained itself. There was so much rain.
Yeah.
3 or 4
They
days there. 2 days.
Yeah. They
rained out.
And they pushed the cup race. They pushed the Xfinity race back to after the cup race because it rained. It was a steady sprinkle all day long. So annoying.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right in the bunker again. Think that
But I was gonna say, I was watching partly watching the documentary about called Lionheart about who was the IndyCar driver that died in Las Vegas. It was very famous. Darn it! I had his name in my head, and now I forget his name. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm looking it up real quick. Oh, it was Dan Weldon. I'm sorry, that's the one I'm referring to. Dan Weldon. There's a documentary on either Showtime or HBO called Lionheart, and it's about Dan Weldon, his coming up in IndyCar, and then of course his tragic death at Las Vegas. I want to say, and again, I don't watch a lot of motorsports, guys, but I want to say I was watching that day, and all of a sudden there was an interruption on ESPN. Like it was like watching Sports Center, and then all of a sudden they cut away from it, and then they went to the race. They showed the accident, and then they pronounced Dan Weldon had passed away. The documentary is about his wife and his 2 sons. Now I think it had to have been filmed more recently, but it's hard to watch guys like that were so promising in their craft that they, Dale Sr. is another one, and all the people that we've lost in motorsports, whether it's been in NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, whatever it might be. It's sad because if these guys are good, and they're doing what they love, and then they die doing what they love. I guess that's some kind of I guess cherry on top, if you want to call it that.
Consolation.
Maybe.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, it's about him, about his rise in IndyCar, and how I think Tony Kanaan, is that who's the famous IndyCar driver?
Tony Kanaan.
There you go, Tony Khan.
Tony Kanaan.
He's in there a lot.
Yeah, TK. They were good friends.
They were close. Yeah, and I was watching it, guys, kind of with the low volume while I was on that show on Tuesday night. So if you see me look up, that's what I was watching. I was trying not to do too much of that because I don't want them to complain to me about that I wasn't paying attention. But I remember where I was when Dale Sr. passed away. I remember where I was when Dan Weldon passed away too. It's one of those things where, and then of course we all knew where we were when Kobe passed away. But when certain athletes, and I don't care what sport they're from, if they die drastically or dramatically, you always know where you were. Like, I know where I was when. I remember when Dale Sr. passed away, I was helping my mom babysit. And we were watching the race on TV, and we left the place to go back home. And before I even got home, they announced on the radio that he had died. He died at Daytona. And it was like, what? Like, what? How did that happen? How did that happen? And it's just, it's sad. It's just sad.
Well, because with Dan Weldon, you take one look at that footage and you're like, it's not surprising. It's like, how anyone walks away from a violent wreck like that is just unbelievable. But then you go back and you watch Senior's wreck and you're like, that's a wreck that happens 1,000 times a season.
Yeah.
It's not one that takes your breath away. It's not because especially in that race when Dale died, it wasn't this violent flipping out of control. It was just two cars hitting the wall. A wreck we've seen a million times before, and sometimes you get hurt, and I don't know how you've been hurt before, but you'll be all right. He's Earnhardt. He's the Intimidator. He'll be all right, And the minutes turned into hours, and it's like if you go back and you watch some of the older J.D. McDuffie, and then he died at Watkins Glen. And if you have an iron stomach, at one point that wreck was on YouTube, and if you're curious about it, but he lost his brakes going down into one at Watkins Glen, and nose first into the Armco at the end of turn one, the tire barrier, and flipped on his lid. And you're like, okay, that's one that's gonna get you.
Yeah.
But then you look at some of the other wrecks that have claimed lives, especially in NASCAR.
Don't forget about the helicopter crash that killed Davey Allison.
That's not the same thing though, because that wasn't a racing deal. That was a pilot error. Same with Alan Kowicki. Both dying in plane or dying in air crashes. Those are totally different circumstances that take your breath away, right?
Yes.
They're not on track accidents, you look at John Nemechek and Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin. They all hit hard.
There's another one that took my breath away, and Adam, I know he survived this, but you have to agree with me. That did kind of make us sit on the edge of our seats there for a little bit when Ryan Newman had his wreck and he slid down the track on his roof.
Well, I wasn't sure if you were going with Newman or you were going to go with Dillon.
Because they had literally cut Ryan Newman out of that car.
Yeah. Yep. and they put the black sheet on it, or they put the blue tar.
Adam called my show that night that Ryan Newman crashed. I remember that. He called my
I
show.
did.
And
Called my
everybody
show.
was sitting there-
The other show I used to do. Yep.
Everybody was sitting there going,
Oh yeah.
you could hear it in a crowd. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
Oof. Just the air sucked out of the place.
yeah.
And that one was different than the Dillon wreck from a few years before that, because when Dillon got up into the catch fence and ripped the car all to pieces, he comes sliding down the embankment, gets hit by Keselowski,
Yeah.
and that sucks the air out of the place, and everybody comes running out to surround the car to see if they can do anything to help. And here he comes crawling out of the remnants of his wrecked race car. Flips the crowd 2 thumbs up, and everybody just loses their minds.
And he takes his helmet off, turns around, looks at it, and goes,
Yeah, walks away. And that's the thing. I think that's what makes motorsports interesting. I think that makes it's what makes contact sports interesting.
and
Is the fact that
NASCAR made these Gen 7 cars a lot safer.
they did. They did, and I think a lot of people are forgetting the fact that wrecks that people are getting hurt in. No, and I think it's an anomaly. It's in statistics where, and this goes back to the British during World War I. If I may have a quick aside, and I'll keep it brief. If you want the full story, you can go watch Lindy Bates. He has his YouTube channel, just World War I helmets. But to keep it brief, so the British were having trouble with head trauma, people dying from head trauma. So they introduced steel helmets. Steel helmets are being sent to the front. More guys are ending up in the hospital. They're going to start. The brass is looking at ending the steel helmets because they're not effective. One intrepid British officer takes a look at the numbers and goes, "Hey, more guys are ending up in the hospital than the morgue. Steel helmets are safer." And so, to keep it brief, I think that we're losing sight of the fact that guys are getting hurt, but the severity of the injuries is not nearly as significant as in previous generations of other cars.
As soon as you finish that, Adam, I got something I want to talk to you about.
Go ahead.
There's a report coming out now, so many years after Earnhardt's death, okay, saying that
Right.
saying that how they have the 3-point harness.
5 point.
5 point. Well, one of those straps had broke. And that's what caused.
That's an old report. Well, I don't know. That was like in the days after he died.
I still
And
think
it-
he had a heart attack before you hit the wall.
No, he died on impact. When his head came forward and snapped back, and he busted his face on his steering wheel. That's what killed him.
But now,
He-
if you notice, they have him wearing a Hans device that goes
Yep.
up behind there. That
It goes.
from going forward.
It comes down around the shoulders, and it goes over the lap belts, and it's hooked into the seat itself. And what it does is it allows the body to go forward to the end of the tether, and then it pulls it back so that you don't slam forward and come all the way back. So you go to the end of your rope, and it keeps you from coming too far forward and coming back.
Mhm.
And it was in development in the late 90s, and they were looking at, because IndyCar had adopted it. IndyCar was the first motorsport to adopt the Hans device, or head and neck restraint, the system.
Yes.
And they talked to some of the NASCAR guys, including Earnhardt, and they didn't want it. They didn't think it was. They thought it was excessive. That there wasn't any need for it in NASCAR. The other thing that hurt Earnhardt was the fact that he wore an open face helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And he wore that open face helmet and the goggles because that's how he'd always driven. And so when his head comes forward, his chin, when the steering column comes up, his head comes forward, that steering wheel comes up, that steering column comes up, and it makes contact, and his head comes forward and goes back, and it severed the spinal cord right at the base, and that's what a basilar skull fracture is. And it was instant lights out. There was nothing they could do, nothing. And then had he been wearing the Hans device, from what the autopsy reports that I've seen, the extent of his injuries were the other injuries he suffered in that accident were life-threatening. If he had been wearing the Hans device, I still don't know if that's enough for him to survive the crash because of the other injuries, multiple broken ribs, broken ankle, broken wrist. You can look it up. It's a damning report. He was in a bad way, even without. It may have been better that it was just lights out. He didn't suffer. It was. Yeah, I'll find it and I'll send it to you later. Yeah, it was that quick. It was lights out, on and off. And I know it's morbid. I know it's macabre, but in my unprofessional, and I'm no doctor, certainly not a doctor or a lawyer, don't even play one on TV. But from researching the post-crash autopsy, that he was in a bad way after aside from the basilar skull fracture. He had multiple serious injuries that were career-ending, or career-threatening,
Right.
if he hadn't just been lights out at that point.
Well,
And in some,
Junior did the right thing by retiring.
Yes.
Junior,
That's all this
Kurt
concussion
Busch,
he had. Yeah, it's about time for him to get out of that car.
Kurt Busch, Junior, Gordon, they all suffered.
Kevin
Gordon had that. Harvick just had lost the fire. And not RCR, but Tony Stewart Haas, they've got a long road to hoe to figure it out. I don't think Harvick was so much injuries. He really didn't sustain many significant injuries that I remember. No, I could be wrong on that.
Ricky
But,
Petty was the other one.
Petty retired because his time was up.
Yeah.
Him and Waltrip, when Waltrip finally hung it up, he called it a career,
Let's see. Who's another one?
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys, the younger guys come along and they're just better. They're faster, they're stronger, they're better athletes, they're better conditioned, they're younger, their wear and tear, and this is something that we talk about we've talked about on the show before, but to be a professional race car driver takes significant athleticism beyond just being able to turn left and go fast. And it's a very physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding sport.
Because you figure, you look at it this way. That the outside temperature could be like 98, 99 degrees. But on that track, it could be 120, 125. And that car going around and you had that heat coming off that car makes it that much hotter.
It's ambient temperature is 93, track temperature is 108, car temperature is 135, 140, It's hot. It's hot all day. Little relief, little air. Everything is so buttoned up because air is drag, and drag slows the car down.
Yeah.
And the and when it comes to being a hyper well conditioned athlete like a race car driver, and NASCAR has a reputation for being good old boys driving up souped up road cars. And in its infancy, it was just good old boys with souped up moonshining cars. They didn't have anything. The war was over. Didn't have anything better to do with them. Let's go race them on the beach. And now,
old cornfields.
now, anywhere that was flat and level enough, let's go find a place and run them. And now they're precision instruments with speed and aerodynamics. The four of us couldn't go and turn 100 laps at Daytona without one of us dying, just from pure exhaustion. It takes skill and talent and physical fitness to be able to go out and race in any sport, any discipline, any racing discipline, whether it's Indy or F1 or NASCAR or IMSA or supercars down in Australia. Midgets and mites, those kids that are coming up, those 10, 12 year olds, and as they come up and they move into late models and super late models and stocks and super stocks and stock late models, and then the ARCA. At each level, it gets harder and harder, and the talent gets better and better, and the money increases. What might be $2,500 for a hyper go-kart is $25,000 for a late model. And a late model, what might be $25,000 for a late model is $50,000 for an ARCA car. $50,000 for an ARCA car is $95,000 for a truck. $95,000 for a truck is $140,000 for an Xfinity car. $140,000 for an Xfinity car is $300,000, $325,000. Sky is the limit for a Cup car. And so each level of motorsports demands that much more talent, that much more skill, that much more money. And it's the same across motorsports.
Talking about young drivers coming up, a good reference point is Christopher Bell.
Mm.
Look what Bell's done. Won 7 races in his career.
Mm-hmm. And
go ahead, Adam.
No, I wanted to see where you were going because I was going to say something, but I thought you had something. I didn't mean to step on you. I wanted to see what you had to say.
Christopher Bell's not a bad driver.
No.
He's I wouldn't call him a young gun, but he's still young enough. He's like, what, 20?
26, 27, 28?
Yeah, something like that. He's still young. He still has a lot left.
Yeah.
He's still young.
That's young enough. But I keep getting older and they keep getting younger,
Look at Ty Gibbs. He's only 19 or 20?
19? Yeah, I don't think he's old enough to shave yet.
And look where he's driving for his grandpa.
Yeah. And he's gonna break through in a big way later this season. He's got the talent.
And if we go back and look in the Infinity Series, there's some young drivers that can possibly get up into NASCAR. They're so good.
In the Cup Series, yeah.
Yeah, like Adam says, I keep getting older and they keep getting younger.
Every day.
There was an upset in college basketball in the ACC tournament. NC State has knocked out Duke.
Really?
Yep.
Knocked out Duke. So they are out.
Yeah. It is tournament time.
I think they'll get the big pistol anyway.
I don't have.
I am so proud, man.
Not a Duke fan,
Well,
huh, Gerald?
if you guys want to, when the bracket
Yeah,
comes
we can
out,
do-
bracket one out.
Yeah.
We can do it on.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do a whole show. I'm okay with that. No, we can do a tournament show. I do like those special shows. They're fun.
Y'all gonna have to help me with the tournament show.
Move over here.
Well, I'm hoping you are putting your fingers up, Gerald. I hope that the Bulls get in USF because
Nope, for my
they have
horn.
to win. They have
For
to
my
wear
lady
the
horn.
Longhorns.
they have to wear the win the AAC tournament to get in.
Yep.
Oakland won the Horizon. They're gonna go dancing. I'm happy about that.
Yep.
The UT women won the Big 12 title, so they gonna be going dancing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And don't be
that's what's
surprised
good.
if the Lady Horns get the number 1 and number 2 seed.
They'll get a number 1.
Well, yeah,
Oh, they
if
did
they're-
get
yeah,
the number 1 seed?
They should get one of the 4.
What was their record, Gerald, this year coming into the Big 12 tournament?
I think it was 29 and 14 or something like that.
I mean, they won the
Oh.
the tournament. They're going to get in. Once you win,
They'll
the
get
conference, you get one of the.
They should-
Yeah, Adam's right. You'll get one of the 4 number 1 seeds that they give out.
And then
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hey,
in the regional.
I'll be happy with the number 4 seed for the Lady Horns.
they'll get a 1. There'll be a 1 seed.
But I'm just saying, if they put them at number 4, I'd be happy with that.
No one. They won't put them at 4. They'll be a number 1 seed.
next year they'll be in the SEC. They'll be
Yeah.
playing
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I gave up on the men's basketball team.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's speaking of college baseball. Texas has got a good college baseball team. The Longhorns are a good. That's a good baseball team. in
So
Austin.
is the ladies softball team.
Yeah. Well. The only the only thing with that is the one of the better softball teams in the country is Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Is the top team. I think they've won the national championship the last 2 years in a row.
They haven't lost a game in like 3 calendar years. It's ridiculous.
I watched the other day watching highlights, and I bumped into a photographer at the Super Bowl who covers Miami of Ohio. She goes to school there, and we bumped into her in the press box, and they almost beat Oklahoma in Oklahoma, but again, almost is not winning.
Yeah, close as no cigar.
Almost is not winning. So
Almost doesn't
Yep.
count for shoes and hand grenades.
Oh. Almost only cuts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
But I tell you, the Longhorn volleyball team did pretty good.
you know, I'll be honest with you guys. I had never previously been to a softball or baseball game as far as collegiate level, and I have so much fun. I really do, honestly. It's a lot of fun. And I watch softball and baseball on TV, but to go to the games with the crowd there, and again, it's not Major League Baseball. It's not going to be sellouts. It's not going to be thousands of fans, but it's still kind of cool to go. I'm looking forward to Saturday and Sunday this week to go and watch the Bulls play. In fact, when I was there last weekend, they were down 7-6 going into the bottom of the 8th and scored 6 runs. The bottom of the 8th inning to win 12-7. So
Nice.
Also too, I think in certain sports like baseball and basketball and stuff, I think in hockey, college hockey, I still haven't seen a college hockey game, but in person. But I think it means more to them than in some circumstances because they're trying to get to the pros, right? They know if they get hurt, they're slim to none to get to the next level, especially if it's a severe injury. I just think it's a lot of fun.
And I
the crowd
think-
to go And same thing with high school. That's the same thing with that too.
Speaking of that, there's going to be a lot of NCAA college football teams going to be starting spring ball pretty soon.
The Bulls play their spring game on the 13th of April, about a month from now. Yep, spring football.
And then we got that other
Yeah.
one we don't like starting up at the end of this month.
You mean that other football league?
USFL.
You can call it what you want. The
I may watch
useless
it.
football league.
It's football, so that's the only reason why I may watch it.
Well,
Well,
speaking of that, guys, that show that I did on Tuesday, the NFL might end up drafting that kickoff rule from the XFL, the one where you can't engage until they catch the ball. So they're trying to, in some cases, bring kick returns and punt returns back to the game where it's not just a fair catch or whatever. So
touchback.
I'm all for that, to bring special teams back, because other than field goals and extra points, look at the Super Bowl where the Bears and the Colts, when Devin Hester returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. You don't see that anymore. You don't see kickoff returns anymore because they put it into the end zone. So yeah, it's so we'll see. If
that. See, I wouldn't mind just giving them the ball at the 20 and just saying play ball, and then allowing an onside kick, a single untimed down to gain 8 yards. I think that's probably going to be to me, that's the best solution. Anything less than 8 yards isn't fair to the defense. Anything more than 8 yards isn't fair to the offense.
Right.
Yes.
So true.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, and now,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, guys. The USFL is the 4 best teams from the XFL and the 4 best teams from the other league, right? That's what they
Yes.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
18 teams? Okay. All right.
Yep.
The 4
The
teams,
And
the 4 teams from the XFL is going to be playing against the 4 teams from the USFL.
Okay.
I think it was probably the 4 healthiest franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Why should it last about half a season?
So
I
basically-
don't see the Orlando Vipers in this league, so obviously they didn't make it.
so it's-
No, and I think
it's going to be an 8.
there's some good money behind it now. There's some good money behind it. I think it has a chance to, not only that, but it has the blessing of the NFL.
It does.
And that is that's a huge boon for them, because without the blessing of the NFL, if they were trying to compete head to head with the NFL, they get crushed.
Exactly.
Because any players that emerge, and it's a feeder system. They're trying, I see it developing over the next 10 to 15 years as like a minor league football, where you get guys. There's good money behind it. There's big money. There's big corporate money behind it. There's big corporate sponsors behind it. They've got a TV contract. They have the NFL's blessing. I very much see this as becoming a minor league football system where they can expand it into more regions and giving kids that might otherwise not have made the NFL a shot at making the NFL. Guys that might need another.
I can see, like Adam was saying, I can see this happening. For example, like the Texas Rangers, they had the Round Rock Express as their minor league team.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys should go with the Arlington Renegades as their minor league team.
And I see it developing.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool, honestly, if that's what it is.
Just like when a player gets hurt in a pros, they send them down to the minors to get them to help them rehab. That's the same thing that could happen with the USFL. If a player gets hurt in the NFL, send them down there so they can get rehab and see if they can come back to the NFL.
Yeah, help them come back.
I'm totally with that. That's the way it goes.
I also see it as the NFL looking at as playing with other markets, seeing if Birmingham will support an NFL team. Watching this develop and seeing, because they've got teams in Birmingham. I forget where all they have, but they have some non-NFL markets involved.
Let's see, they got San Antonio,
which is a non-NFL market.
Yeah, they got Birmingham. That's not a NFL market.
Yep.
Orlando. No, Orlando's a football market.
We don't have an NFL team. Orlando does not have an NFL team.
So that's and I can't.
That's three.
I can't think of the other ones right now.
Right. I think St. Louis. They had the Battlehawks. They kept the Battlehawks around.
Yes.
I forget because the city of St. Louis was talking about suing the NFL for moving a franchise, for moving the Rams back to LA.
Yeah.
And so that was something that's been in the ether for a couple of years. So I definitely can see this as the NFL, as a way of the NFL to gauge the market's response.
Well, the NFL did have two teams in St. Louis at one time. They had the St. Louis Rams and the St. Louis Cardinals.
That's true, they did.
They did, but not at the same time.
And both those teams. So now they got
the Cardinals.
Huh?
The Cardinals started out in Chicago, and they moved to St. Louis, and then they got moved from St. Louis to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rams, I want to say the Rams were an expansion franchise. No, the Rams started out in LA. That's how it was. The Rams were out in LA, and then when
there's a market that doesn't have a team anymore, and that's Oakland.
Oakland doesn't have doesn't. Oakland doesn't have the infrastructure to support major pro sports. That's the problem. They don't have a stadium. They don't have a stadium. They don't have the facilities to support a major professional sports team. So I don't see them expanding back to. I don't see them expanding back to Oakland anytime soon. Not in the next.
I'm just saying that's an open market.
Right.
Let me ask you guys this real quick, because we're talking about open markets. The NHL wants to go back to Atlanta. They failed twice there, so what would make you want to support hockey in Atlanta?
No, support it. Do it. No. The ground is ripe. Strike while the iron is hot. Southern hockey, 20 years ago, it was the wrong time. 20 years ago was the wrong time. Come around here, come hang out with me, and you'll see all the Predators gear. You'll see all the love for Southern hockey. Mm-hmm. The Southern hockey is on the rise, and the NHL would be smart to put a team back in Atlanta. Okay. I'm sorry, but the Coyotes, if they, you have a question, or
a question? Did you see? Austin,
yes.
Did you see Austin, Texas getting a USFL team?
I see San Antonio first. No, they already have one, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. Not in the first 5 years.
Because if they do, they can always play at DKR War Memorial.
Maybe. But not in the first 5 years. Because I think that you still have to. I think
there's a problem with that. We got Mr. Jerry Jones up in Dallas, and he ain't going to allow any other teams to come into Texas.
If the money, Jerry's a savvy businessman. If the money is right, and we all know money talks and BS walks, and ask KCDC, money talks and BS walks. if the money is right and the city, how far from Dallas is Austin? It's like 3 hours, right?
Round
Yeah.
Round trip is about 8 hours.
So it's not like you're going to be cutting in on Dallas. It's not an hour and a half. It's not 30 minutes up the road.
No.
How far from Houston is Austin?
That's about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours.
See, that would be the one. That would be the team I'd be more worried about. Is the Texans vetoing an Austin team, because that's a direct market. Anything outside of three hours, because Austin and Dallas are about 3 hours, 3.5 hours from each other.
Well,
So
from Austin to Dallas is roughly around 4 hours.
right, which is outside that 3 hour window. So I don't see Jerry having too much of a problem having a team go into Austin. You're saying Austin is an hour and 40, hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, hour 20, depending on who's driving, from Houston. I definitely see the Texans ownership group being more hesitant or more reluctant on letting a team go into Austin. Now, if you're talking about a USFL team, I don't see the USFL expanding in the next 3 years. I think you go with the 8 you have, build a fan base, build a brand, build an identity, see what this thing is going to be, see what kind of monster you've created. Because if you try to expand too soon and you stretch yourself too thin and you don't have the financials to support 10, 12, 16 teams, if you try to add Austin and Oklahoma City and Portland and Boise, Idaho, just for want of four cities, or Salt Lake City. If you try to put a team in Austin, put a team in Oklahoma City, put a team in Portland, put a team in Salt Lake City, you have too much. You spread yourself too thin. You don't have enough. You don't have a wide enough talent pool, and these 4 new teams are stuck with the cast-offs of cast-offs. Not good enough for NFL. Not good enough for XFL. Not good enough for USFL. Guys that have been rejected by the other 8 teams in the league already.
Mm-hmm.
Developing new fan bases in non-traditional football markets like Salt Lake, like Portland, like Oklahoma City, like Austin, not non-traditional pro markets is going to be the trick.
Now, let's say if you were going to start a franchise, a USL franchise in Austin,
Okay.
what would you name it?
Yeah.
Pistoleros.
But we're known for the bats down here.
Pistoleros, Steers, Red Hots is good.
Red Hawks. The Red Hawks.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio might fight you on the copyright for that.
Yep, I was gonna say.
I think I like Pistoleros. I like something to do with chili, something to do with spices, something to do with with the Hispanic influence.
Austin Lobos.
There you go. Renegades, something like that.
Renegades, 'cause we have
Desperados.
There you go.
That would be either the Austin Lobos or the Austin Desperados.
I think
Yeah,
one of
because
those.
Here's another one. Austin Outlaws.
Outlaws. That makes me think of a motorcycle gang.
True.
Yeah.
I like, or Banditos. You can go with Banditos.
No, because we have a motorcycle gang down here called that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Renegades. I think Renegades, it fits the.
You can't use Renegades because you got Arlington.
Joe, what are your high school mascots down there in Austin?
Let's see, we got Reagan, LBJ, Lanier, which has now changed its name, Austin High, Westlake.
What are their mascots?
Okay, well, Reagan is a Raider.
Okay.
Westlake is Warriors.
Okay.
McNeil's the Mavericks.
Okay.
LBJ's Jaguars.
Right.
Which other one? Austin High Maroons.
Okay.
I mean, could they do something along the lines
What?
of taking the high school names and making something out of kind of representing
Well,
the area
Well,
in a
that
way?
depends. That depends on the athletic department at each school.
Well, and Austin is really well known for its music. So
Yes.
something.
We do have HCL that comes in. South by Southwest. Matter of fact,
Yep.
Southwest is going to be in pretty soon.
Yeah, Austin's music scene is huge. Something to do with music is also an option that can be explored.
Did you feed her earlier?
Mm-hmm.
The Austin Banjos.
Those some banjos, huh?
Their mascot be a banjo.
What about Pickers?
How about what?
Pickers.
As in picking a guitar.
Yeah, picking a guitar, picking a banjo, picking a steel,
Mm-hmm. Anything with strings.
a mandolin.
Right. Here's another one they could use because we're also known for rattlesnakes down here.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to get Stone Cold to sign off on that.
But getting back though to
Well,
Atlanta with a
he's-
hockey team for a third time. Look,
He's
the
from
problem is,
Texas.
look,
I don't think he'd mind having something named after him. He's
Yeah.
from Texas. I
Austin
don't think he'd
Coyotes,
mind that at all. Oh, that's right, Lou. What were you saying about Atlanta?
we do
Well,
have
look,
Coyotes
they
down here.
failed twice before. I mean, first they came to Atlanta, and then they had to move to Calgary for whatever reason. Back in the
Correct.
80s, and then they tried again with the Atlanta Thrashers. They had to go for a while, but then they folded up, and they became the reincarnation
Jets.
of the Winnipeg Jets. So,
Correct.
what makes it the third time is going to be the charm? I think it's just gonna
Because
be
it's the right time.
Well, also too, the Thrashers, the group that owned the Atlanta Thrashers they didn't know anything about how to own a sports team. They were just
Obviously
they were
not.
the good old boys that wanted to spend money, own a team. So could it
Yeah.
work? Yes, it could work.
Absolutely.
Will the NHL do it? We'll have to wait and see. Because I saw that was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about tonight when you were talking
Yeah.
about expanding the USFL. I'm like, well, the NHL wants to expand. Where I think the NHL needs to get a team. I'm surprised that they never had an NHL franchise. Is Wisconsin? They don't have an NHL franchise.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, they could use a franchise.
Because you have
Putting a
Minnesota.
team in Madison.
You got Minnesota in Minnesota, but there's nothing
Yep.
in between.
Now,
There, Indy.
I got
the
a
Blue
question for
Jackets are in
Mr. Brad
Columbus, Ohio. So
because he follows college hockey, don't you, Brad?
a little bit. I mean,
How many teams
Yeah.
are there?
in college
Hundreds.
hockey, hundreds. I mean,
Too many to
most-
count.
even this team that I have on my hat, they have a college hockey team. But you don't
Do y'all have a
that
hockey team?
because We're
And I don't know
we're
if
not,
Longhorns
we're
have a
not the
hockey team or
Quinnipiacs.
not.
We're not the North Dakotas. We're not the Bostons. We're not the Michigans. We're not the big schools. Kids don't come down here to play college hockey. You come down here to play college
Like
hockey.
state. You go to if you go to but the hockey scene in the South is burgeoning. The hockey movement in the South is burgeoning. I see Predators gear all the time. I got a girl that works, and the migration from the north to the south has brought a wave of hockey with it. You've got people of all stripes from all walks of life who are finding and discovering hockey now. And now is the time to move the Yotes out of Arizona, a place that doesn't want them, for a fan base that doesn't exist, and bring them back to Atlanta. Atlanta's a 2.5 hour drive from here. I will be there night one. When they play the Wings, I'll be in Atlanta. I will be in Atlanta. If I can get the time off, I will be in Atlanta to watch my Wings play. They play the New Luck Thrashers or whatever they end up calling them. The hockey iron in the South is hot, and it's time to strike. Get the Yotes out of Arizona, where they don't belong, where they've never been welcomed, outside of their first season, when it was the fresh new thing to go do. They don't want them. There's a reason why they can't get a deal done to get a new stadium.
Right.
If they wanted them there, they would move heaven and earth to get it done. It's time to get them in and put them somewhere that wants hockey. And all the buzz around here, again, 2.5 hours from Atlanta. There's the local team down there in Atlanta. They're a minor league team. I think they're a non-NHL minor league team. But they have the old ownership group of the part of the old Thrashers ownership group bought a minor league hockey team and put it in Atlanta. And they sell out every night. They sell out. They have.
Go ahead, Adam.
No, go ahead. I cut everybody else off.
I got a question for y'all three. I just want to see what y'all think about this. Do you see the Longhorns ever getting a hockey team?
They don't have one.
Nope. As far as I know, they don't.
No.
I don't know why.
No.
To a program that probably wouldn't. Well, let me ask you this question, because you're a Longhorn fan. Would you go see a college hockey game in Austin?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have to get.
Well, there's your answer.
To
You put some feeler. You got all these contacts up there at DKR. You start putting your feelers out. You get things moving.
Because I think if Texas brings a hockey team into the NCAA, I think that would boost their enrollment and help them out a little bit more in the sports department.
Well, and the thing.
I was gonna say the other town that they want to put a hockey team in that's been a rumor is Houston.
Yes, Houston is big talk. I wouldn't mind seeing if they brought 4 teams in: Atlanta, Houston, Kansas City, and Madison.
That would be fine with me.
I think
4 new franchises. 4 new franchises. That would be like a 36 teams.
Whoa. 3 new franchises and 1 relocation.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, so 36 teams in the NHL, right?
Yeah.
About hockey. It's high pace, and sometimes these boys get mad. They start throwing helmets off and wanting to fight each other.
Start throwing hands. Yep. Hockey is a lot of fun.
I fell in love with hockey in 2002. I've been a fan ever since. So I've been a fan for 22 years. So
I came out of
in Austin. I don't get many hockey games.
I came out of the room with a stick in my hands. I love hockey. Hockey's the greatest game on God's green earth. I love hockey. Love it. And college hockey is so underrated. So much fun.
Very much.
And college hockey plays a lot like college hockey plays a lot like 90s hockey.
Yeah.
A lot more clutching and grabbing. They don't have the trapezoid in college hockey, which is nice. I hate the trapezoid. So we get rid of it.
scrappier. It's scrappier hockey in the
Scrap. It's definitely scrappier.
Yeah.
A lot less talent. And, especially college hockey because you don't got all those. And I'm not saying they're untalented, and it's not a knock on college hockey. Don't get it twisted. But college hockey doesn't have the benefit of recruiting top level KHL players, Swedish Elite League players, Finnish Elite League players, Norwegian Elite League, Denmark, all the Scandinavian countries. All those guys that eat, sleep, and breathe hockey. The guys in their 18 to 25 who are diehard hockey kids. They don't play American college hockey, and Canadians don't play American college hockey. They play, you play in the OHL or the WHL or
The juniors.
I think there's a third. Those are all junior teams, junior leagues. So the OHL, the WHL, it's the Ontario Hockey League, the Western Hockey League, the CHL, the Central Hockey League. I think it's Central. And so Canadian kids don't come down to the States to play hockey and to play major junior hockey. They stay in Canada. So it's mostly American kids that are playing playing collegiate hockey in the U.S. Whether it be Cornell, Brown, St. Cloud, North Dakota, Quinnipiac. Michigan State, Michigan Tech, Lake State, Miami, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, Minnesota, Duluth, St. Paul, St. Cloud, Boston. There's another Massachusetts. There's another Boston school because there's Boston,
UMass,
and then I forget. Yeah, UMass, UMass Lowell, Harvard.
Oh.
Yeah, when I said I was thinking all the Ivy League schools.
Brad, retract my last statement. I just looked it up. University of Texas Longhorn men's ice hockey team.
There you go. Guess you have to figure out when. You have to figure out when a game is and go. College hockey, high school hockey. Now that's what the South needs. The South needs high school hockey. High school hockey is the bread and butter of any hockey market is high school hockey. If you don't have high school hockey, you can't build a thriving hockey program, because as great as it is that Austin has a hockey team, you need to have a pipeline from local schools to Austin, because don't get me wrong, Texas is gorgeous. Texas is a destination school. But the problem is that if you can only recruit, and if you're trying to recruit against St. Paul, St. Cloud, Minnesota Duluth, Minnesota, Michigan Tech, Michigan State, Lake State, Ohio, Miami, Ohio State, Ohio, Penn State, Notre Dame, Boston College, and then Ivy League schools, you're not going to be without that high school hockey bedrock, which all of your northern states, from the Dakotas to Maine, have a decided advantage because of the fact that we grew up with hockey, and we have hockey from October to April every year. You've got that where it's kids in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, all up and down the coast, from Virginia to Maine, grow up playing high school, playing midgets and mites and A and AA and AAA and high school hockey, and then college hockey with the dream of one day making the NHL. You've got to install that culture to make hockey viable. And that's the other thing that I think that would behoove Atlanta, Kansas, Houston, not Madison, because obviously Madison has there's no Madison doesn't lack for high school hockey, but those Badgers are. That's why I picked Madison, because I think putting a pro team in Madison makes sense because of the fact that you already have that hotbed of hockey in Wisconsin. I mean, shit, you probably just bring in 12 of the, you just take 12 players from the Madison and its surrounding counties and field a team that'll win 20 games. That's how good Wisconsin hockey is.
But I was gonna say, you wouldn't think about Milwaukee. You wouldn't think about putting.
No, I like Madison better. It's the capital. I don't know if Milwaukee's bigger, but I just think that when you're putting a new franchise in an untapped market, I think it's smart to go away from an established market, because you already have the Brewers, and the fact is that you're going to be competing against Milwaukee for 31 or 40 nights you're going to compete against the Bucks for 30 or 40 nights a year, depending on how many home games you're going to be playing. What's that?
I said, did that feel good?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was choosing not to acknowledge and just moving on.
Right.
But and so I think the traditional hockey markets, obviously they have a minor, a youth hockey from Pee-wee to AAA to high school, travel hockey, and I know that hockey is expensive. I know that building and maintaining a rink is cost prohibitive. But if you want to build a hockey culture, if you want to have a hockey fan base that grows up loving hockey, you have to have that. It's integral to, because look at the other sports that are huge: baseball, basketball, football. What do those three have in common? Every school has at least one of those programs. Every major school, every school with more than 250 kids, has either a basketball, a baseball, a football, or some combination therein of the three. Now,
that's where I think if they go to Houston, the guy that owns the Rockets wants to have them play in their arena. So you'd have to worry about NBA games this time of the year and hockey games. You'd have to, kind of like what they do at Madison Square Garden. You have to schedule it around.
They do it.
Yeah, so they could do it.
They do the same thing in Detroit. It's doable. It's very doable. What I'm talking about is not for. That's why I kind of don't like putting a team in Houston. Is it's already an established basketball market.
Okay.
And so, and that's the same reason why I don't like putting them in Milwaukee, is because
but Houston's a football market too, because of the Texans.
Yeah, but you can work around that. That is a golden opportunity to have mid-afternoon hockey games. That's one thing that happened in Detroit, is Detroit fans went to the ownership and went to the NHL and said, "Hey guys, these games at 7:30 on a Sunday night during school aren't working for us, because the game gets over at 10:30 and we got to go home. We got to go home because we got to be up at 6 o'clock on Monday morning to get to school and work, and by 10:30 everything's closed. and there's no nightlife down here, so we want to go home. There's nothing going on, so we're just packing our stuff and going home. And the NHL said, all right, and the ownership group in Detroit said, all right, how about this? Games will start at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And we said, all right, cool. Because the MGM and Greektown and the third one, who I can't remember now, but all the casinos downtown were complaining that everybody went home when the game got over. 20,000 people in downtown Detroit, and we might see 2,000 come through these doors. And so the businesses in downtown Detroit were like, we don't see a bump when the Wings are in town. We'll see a minor bump before the game and a minor bump after the game, but we got 20,000 people downtown in this city, and nobody's spending any money. Everybody's going home. And they said, all right, we'll see what we can do. And they said, hey, what about we move the games to 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon? Good. That'll work. Except when the game gets over, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock. Hey, let's go down to the casino. Let's spend a little bit of money. We're down here already. It's a day trip. We took a day trip from Saginaw. We're already down here. So let's spend some money. And so fans loved it because it meant that everything was still open, especially later in the season as the season gets, as we get into April, as we get into March and April with the time change, it stays lighter, so that it's not pitch black when you get out. It's still a little bit light. So a lot of people, it was very, very popular. And so then you could have a Wings game that gets over at 7:30. You have a Pistons game at 1 o'clock. That game gets over at 3. 2.5 hours, change the ice, or change the hardwood to ice. And then at 5 o'clock, you're ready for a Wings game. So the Wings do it. The Little Caesars does it. Madison Square Garden does it. I think that the Kings and the Lakers, they share a stadium. Pretty sure.
Yes.
But the only problem.
I was gonna say I hate to say anything to Lou, but Lou, what happened to your Rangers? They were up 3-0, and what the heck happened?
2-0, and then they just fell apart. And again,
I turned the game off, Lou. I turned the game off. They were beating the Lightning 3-0. I turned it off, and just on my phone, I'm like, what? It's 6-3. How the hell did we come back?
Yeah,
I'm flabbergasted.
We gotta.
Disgusting.
Right.
But no, I mean, I agree with you, Bud, too, with the hockey in the South. The Lightning are, we're going to be on kind of a down. We were in 3 straight Stanley Cups. The Panthers are an absolute great hockey team. All of a sudden, they've been good the last year. Nashville's good. I think they're on the coming back up. I think they're going through a little bit of a rebuild.
They're like third in the Central or whatever it is now.
So I mean, I mean, the iron is hot to probably bring Atlanta back, and I wouldn't be surprised because you have the Falcons, you have the Braves. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bring a hockey team back to Atlanta again with running
and the Hawks.
This time around with the right ownership to take care of a team.
And the Hawks. You still have the Hawks. You have the Hawks.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
So I think to Lou's point earlier, that it's been tried and failed twice. Why would you do it again? I mean, in the 70s, there was no shot. There was no way Southern hockey was going to work.
No.
It wasn't. People down here didn't know about hockey. Didn't know what hockey was. Well, over the last 40 years, you've had a lot of Northerners move down south and had kids down here, and those kids have grown up watching Boston and New York and Detroit and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. You have so much manufacturing has moved down this way or just disappeared altogether. and that people moved out of those big cities like Pittsburgh, Detroit, New York, Chicago, Hartford, and they moved south where jobs were plentiful and the weather was better. And so the time is right for another shot in Atlanta,
Okay.
another run in Atlanta.
Okay. With that, gentlemen, we can call it a show. Lou, go ahead and talk about your show on Saturday, my brother.
Okay, it's called Atlanta Will Strike Out for the Third Time, aka the aka the Enhanced Sports Show. Number is 512-543-4662 from 4 to 6 p.m. Yeah, we'll discuss about Atlanta's third attempt at trying to get a hockey team successfully. We'll see how it happens. We'll also, of course, discuss the new NFL league year, college basketball conference championships. It's going to be a pretty big report on that. Spring training, as it's NBA news, UFC, and WWE, and don't forget about Gerald's auto race report. Well, check in for that. Plus our regular features, the feel good story of the week, the ridiculous moment of the week, although there might be a few more than that. Sports trivia, this week in sports history, and of course, we always welcome your thoughts and comments, even if they are bad. So, because sometimes they get it on their line. So anyway, the number is 512-543-4662. Once again, 512-543-4662. That's 4 p.m., 6 p.m. here in the East, 3 to 5 where Gerald is. I think 3 to 5 where Adam is, and 4 to 6 where Bradley is.
No, I'm on the East Coast, bro.
And also, just a reminder, Zach Wilson will not be in the building.
That's right. Sorry, Zach.
Check on your mom.
No, wait. We're actually spinning a spin-off show called "Where in the World Is That Wilson Going?" Oh.
He wants to know where Carmen San Diego is.
They're dating together. They're teaming up together.
In the house.
Oh. Yes. I better get out
Yeah,
of here.
I'm gonna, but I want to thank everyone that tuned in tonight, and thanks to these three gentlemen that helped make this show so great.
Three Stooges.
I'm not gonna go that route. I would say more like Three Amigos before I would say Stooges. But anyway, we'll be back, guys, next Thursday. There's a question. When will the bracket be set? Is it going to be set
Sunday?
This Sunday coming up,
6 o'clock.
So why don't we do that? Okay, so next week, guys, we'll do the bracket show. We'll go through the bracket on here, and if you're bold enough to listen to us, go ahead and throw a bracket out there and try to make money. We'll do next week. We'll do a bracket show, guys. I'm working on bringing on a guest that is a former boxer and UFC fighter. She's a female. I met her.
Okay, cool.
Fellow podcaster of mine. So
That'll be fun.
he got her to talk to me. I've been talk to her off air today. So in the future, we'll have another guest on here. With all that being said,
stay tuned.
If we were the Three Stooges, I'd be Curly. Lou would be Mo. No, Larry. Adam would be Larry.
If that's what you want to call you guys, that's fine. But I want to thank the men. I want to thank the men and women of our armed services. Thank you for doing what you do, and our first responders. Thank you for also doing what you do. We cannot do this without you. Before I close, there's a quote. You were talking about hockey town and hockey in the South. Baker Mayfield signed his contract with the Bucks. He said, "Well, Tampa's a hockey town." Sorry, Baker. Tampa's not a hockey town. Tampa's a football
No.
town first. Hockey second. Baseball third because the team really isn't in Tampa. And by the
No.
way, Rays fans, guess what? The stadium deal that you thought was all said and done may not be done. So just
Nope.
to throw that out there from what I've been reading. But anyway, guys,
And they're moving. They're gonna split time with Montreal. So
Yeah.
we'll be back next week to do our bracket show. Until then,
And y'all
guys,
gonna have to
everyone,
help me with that. Y'all gonna have to
Yeah,
help me with that.
yeah, of course.
stay safe out
Wait
there,
for your
guys.
practice
Everyone have a good weekend. And guys, stay safe on St. Patrick's Day. Get a
Yeah.
DD or a rider service. Don't be hurting and killing people innocently because you're stupid and don't want to and drive drunk. So don't be driving drunk.
Yeah,
Until then,
just don't drive.
I get my wife to tickle me Lucky Charms.
well, that's a little bit too much information, but thank you for sharing that with me.
He's been hanging out with Zach Wilson too much.
What a great time for that to chime in. But anyway, we'll be back again next Thursday. I want to thank the networks and our sponsors. Thank you so much. And until then, guys, I am the sports director, Bradley Walker. This has been the Walker Report. Until next Thursday. Peace.
Correct.
You're gonna tell Zach Wilson to forget your number.